No, 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 era una persona, era todo el viaje, pero una sola persona. Sí, ah, no, mentira, mentira, Toronto nada más en Toronto. Sí, tienes razón. Todo. Sparking personal reactions to the environment that we live in, and just like, well, how do we make it better? Like, how do we, how do we create like an interesting topic of discussion around the problems that bother us, right? It also focuses on like studying the history of this like practices or reflection of a human component of like creativity. Why am I here? Okay, I finished high school and I really felt like I wanted to challenge myself and put myself in an environment that I wasn't familiar with and force myself into learning more about different cultures or just one specific culture. But basically really just get away from where I was in order to grow and in order to grow. Well, I'm mostly doing painting. I've been studying painting for most of the time I've been here. And that focuses a lot on sort of a personal search to express certain ideas. And in that aspect, like there's an interaction between the surface, the canvas, or like whatever surface you paint on, and the hand of the artist. So
do you find
there's a physicality to what I'm studying.
Do you find like your work more conceptual than as per se like a paper about a history course or something like that? Like,
I find it requires a different way of looking at things. I mean, because when you present something like an image or a piece, like a physical piece, it requires you to think about the physicality of it and what the material says and what the colors say and what the way of application says. So that's really important. And like I guess that's what's different from a piece of writing. I mean, they both deal with language. A painting deals with language as well, but not in the same way. It's definitely a visual. It's definitely visually oriented. It's coming up with things that are fresh, that are actually fresh. The more you learn, the more you realize that like other people have done things that you were aiming for, or are dealing with things that you think you might be the only one. So like as you get farther, you start realizing that like these things that you're attracted to or you're intrigued by, they have been explored. So it puts you in a spot where you like have to. The more you learn, the more it's challenging, the more it's exciting, but it's more of a challenge to come up with something new.
Sense of community in NASCAD. I think there's a sense of community within certain departments at NASCAD, but I think it's pretty broken up in terms of like areas, in terms of like design wings, film wings, ceramics wings.
Like in different types of practices, like painters are with painters and sculptures are with sculptures and ceramics are, like, do you know people from ceramics? Like,
I never see people from ceramics.
I never see people from ceramics.
No. I will go to an actual like NASCAD function and I will see a lot of people there and I will actually ask them, are you from NASCAD? And they'll be like, yeah, this is my 4th year at NASCAD. Me being here for 3 years, me not seeing someone for 3 years is kind of crazy. I mean, in terms of not even like recognizing someone. So the fields are so broken up, which I think has to do with not only the different campuses. So there's 3 different campuses at NASCAD. There's film, there's one campus that has media arts and film and such like that.
Yeah.
There's another one that has ceramics and sculpting.
And
foundation here. And then this campus that we have right now, which is a fucking labyrinth.
Yes.
And I don't even know how to get down to the like fashion wing since last week. I did not even know how to get down to the fashion wing. So not only do I not, we're at the same campus, but I don't even know where they are or who is down there. And then I got there and I'm like, holy shit, this is where fashion is? There's places I haven't explored.
Yeah, I mean, you get that impression that, oh, you have to be the first, like he's relevant or he's famous because he did it first. But sometimes it's not just being first, like you're the first because you came up with something totally out of the box. And that's what it's first, that's what it's relevant. But I mean, it's not just all being the first to like paint on the couch, you know, like or percent of painting that's not really a painting, or whatever you want to deal with. It's not about being the first. It's about like dealing with the ideas that I don't know that present something new, and that it's gonna make the painting. It's gonna make the piece new. But it's not the point. The point is not it's not just coming up with it first.
Like, I don't know in what type of program you are, but I'm in an interdisciplinary program, and I've taken different classes in different departments, and I know people from different departments, and every time I want to make a project or something, I can ask, oh, I want to work with fabric, so I have to talk to someone from textiles, or I want to work with this, I can ask someone from jewelry.
So you gotta interact a bit.
Yes, so you get to like pull a bit from different departments.
I guess it relies on you, on
Like, it's
what-
not completely alienated either.
I mean, it really depends on you to go out there and if there's an area that you're interested in, you should probably show some interest and act upon it. But it relatively allows you, because like it's, I mean, you might not know where the department is where you can look for it, and like people are really nice, and eventually you can get to learn a lot of things just from like personal interactions.
And there is the clique of NESCAD students being NESCAD. So even though I might not see a ceramicist or I might not see someone that is in video, if you do meet someone, there are underlying kind of things that bring people together. Like, for example, creativity. For example, left-wing politics, which is really interesting when it comes to NASCAD, and I find very different than a lot of other schools. But granted, I haven't been to a lot of other schools, but I think from my understanding of what people have been telling me and just my experience here at NASCAD, that almost everybody is left-wing. Everybody's very liberal. Everybody's really open in terms of sexuality being defined as like, you know, gender neutral or whatever. So there's a lot of like openness that are not really there in other schools. So a lot of schools will, you know, perhaps, well, it's just interesting the courses that NESCAD offers, like queer theory, otherness in photo, and just some of the courses, the underlying structure of NESCAD is very, very, I don't want to say liberal.
Left wing.
Left wing, yeah.
That's the stigma that NASCAD doesn't carry like other schools, like maybe SMU and them. Like you can't be as, I mean, you can be, but it's definitely a different aura, right? It's a different
Yeah,
feeling.
here you can be whoever you want to be, and people won't question it.
Yeah.
People are very open about anything or everything. We're like, okay.
Well, there are guidelines, but these kind of institutions are about challenging those guidelines at some point. Like at the beginning of like when you study here, the first or the second year, they're usually about learning where you're at in terms of like practice and like, history of art, and then they promote you to challenge it.
It's a very practical school. It's a super ultra practical school, and one of the things that I think that people get from NASCAD is that they're thrown into an environment and they have to deal with problems, whether they be practical problems with paintings or conceptual problems and trying to figure out how to design a project or what have you. So there's an element within NASCAD that people have to deal with underlying problems and fix them with materials that they have. And I think after graduating from NASCAD, that's a quality that a lot of students would bring with them that a lot of other students from other universities wouldn't actually have.
Might not take with them.
They might have better grammar. They might be able to write a paper better. But in terms of dealing with problems and issues and solving them with limited resources, I think NASCAD students are definitely getting equipped at their time here.
Like the reason why you decide to go to art school. Of all the things you could do, why art? I know I'm in art school because it helps me feed my obsessions. Like that's it. I'm very obsessive. This just feeds my obsessions. So my obsessions don't feed off me.
Yeah.
I love you, Cynthia.
And I think if you're here, it's because you want to be here. Like making a piece or writing an essay on whatever you have to write, you always approach it as a problem that it's not generating answers, but it's actually just generating more questions. It's about questions, not about answers. I don't think anyone has an answer for anything, and we're always in this constant state of questioning and doubting things. And that's how art works, and that's how maybe the school works. They push you to the point where you are always thinking and overthinking everything you're taught. Like, to the point I was like, I'm telling you this, but don't even believe what I'm telling you. And it's like, it's always a complex. I think it's, I always been in art school, so I don't know how a traditional university works.
But I think you're even generalizing to a point where this art school is very, very different than any other art school in Canada.
Yeah.
In terms of its left-wing politics, in terms of how their classes are structured, in terms of what is taught and what classes are provided.
Yes.
So I mean, this art school is just, it's a unique environment, and I don't think, I mean, you can compare it to other art schools, but this is, I mean, it was based on you know, the 70s, when this was like the avant-garde, like conceptual school, like this is the icon of modern conceptual art. I shouldn't say that, modern conceptual art, that's like not right at all, but the like the apex of like the conceptual art period. And I mean, it's riding with like it's riding with this wave of trying to explore everything and delving into problems, and like Cynthia says, they don't really give you answers, but that's not to say that you find answers or you find solutions to problems, right?
Yeah.
But usually those solutions to problems are doorways into bigger problems.
Yeah, and you actually create really interesting dialogues.
100%. Yeah. And I think that's in terms of art, that's one of the most exciting things about art.
Yes.
Is the dialogue.
The potential for something that you make to make other people question things and question you, and that very idea of somebody questioning you, putting you in the spot where you have to surpass whatever you've done or like defend whatever you believe in, and that's exciting. Like that idea of fulfilling your obsessions. I don't think anyone in NASCAR would think the idea of a complex idea getting more complex. I think we all attracted into that. Like,
I guess that's definitely enough. If you guys want to keep talking, you can.
we could strip naked.
Yeah, now it's recording again, but you can just strip butt naked. I was gonna ask.